This is the end. Start with a hilarious joke. Tick. This is the end, and these are end cities. In the end cities you can find endships, and they're okay. They've kind of been the same for a while, but they do deliver you a way to travel. The elusive elytra. It gives you a way to fly, to travel to new places, and this is all well and good, but what if you could fly the ship? What if the ship itself was an entire RPG minigame? This is NeoNetwork Skyblock, and with this command, you can take an endship and go on incredible adventures. I'm going to take you on the adventure with me as I try this for the first time. I started by choosing a class from this book, and in RPGs and other games where classes are important, I would usually go for a sniper or archer, a class that stays back but can do damage at the right time to stop situations from developing, but for some reason I decided against the habit of a lifetime and went with a berserker. I will live to regret this choice, as you'll soon find out. Another thing to point out is that the difficulty of this game mode increases depending on the amount of players that you have on your island team, and because I record videos, I did have an alt as an alternative camera angle before switching to the replay mod, so I am essentially up against a difficulty made for 2 players solo. I think that's all the excuses made. Oh wait, and the sun was in my eyes. That too, don't forget that, that's very important. I spawned on the ship and then spoke to this absolute unit of a pirate captain who informed me that the ship's voyage had started and that we had quite a distance to travel, and not only that, but that the ship was under attack from dragons no less. It was my job to defend the ship as we traveled through the sky to our destination, and defend the ship I did. Badly. The dragons were relentless. No sooner had I vanquished one than 2 more would appear, threatening to rip the ship apart and us with it. I ran from side to side, my harpoon hardly ever in my hands as I launched it time after time towards the enemies until they were slain, and then we arrived. The island was small but infested with enemies I recognized from Minecraft but had different names and had their own abilities. I soon found myself outnumbered, but I had to keep fighting. My goal was treasure. The captain had explained that there were riches upon each island, but that the last crews that had gone in search of them had never returned, and I kinda wish he'd mentioned that before we left my comfortable, safe Skyblock island, but we were here now and the enemies knew it. I spent most of my time running like a coward and attempting to duck, dodge, dip, dive, and duck, trying to gain the upper hand in a seemingly impossible situation. I saw caves filled with ores as I fought, making sure to grab as many as I could when there was a break in the fighting, and while all this was happening, I was unaware of the fact that one dragon had survived and was still destroying the ship. I needed to do this quickly. Eventually, bloodied and bruised, I was finally victorious, and the island was clean of the infestation, and there was my prize. A singular chest containing the treasure the first island had to offer. Eagerly, I approached and opened it. Suddenly, in front of me was nothing I had ever seen before. Standing before me was a sentient tree, massive and angry. I instantly was sucked into a vortex of swirling bats and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't reach him, I couldn't land on the ground, I was like a rag doll. Eventually though, he let me go, and as soon as I broke free, tiny tree minions appeared and started to chase me, and I got the hell out of there. But it soon became clear to me that the pirates probably wouldn't welcome back a crew member who had just run from a houseplant, so I sucked it up and the battle began. Distance didn't even seem to help as massive roots tunneled under the ground to reach me. I focused on moving a lot, managed to use the terrain as cover from the tree's attacks, and then moving out of cover to throw the harpoon before taking cover again. I slowly whittled the health down with the harpoon, trying to avoid the crazy attacks, but my health was dropping fast, and eventually though, the monster was dead. And in its place stood my real reward. I opened the chest and the contents were meager, but I had earned them fairly and I was proud of my achievement. And more than that, I could return to the ship with my head held high. The captain, however, was not as impressed as I'd hoped and insisted we continue to the next island before nightfall, and so on we went. The dragons once again circled, but this time I was ready for them, dispatching them quickly and not leaving one alive this time, and then we made it to the second island. Before I could even leave the ship this time though, the island guardians were upon us. Their greeting party consisted of strays, drowned and wither skeletons, all who were eager to send us back where we came from. But full of confidence after defeating a massive tree, I was ready for them. I fought my way through them and set foot on the second island. There I encountered werewolves and endermen and other creatures, including some tiny horrible little things called void rats who would bite you and give you blindness, and I'll be glad when I'm done fighting those things, let me tell you that. Again, I plundered the ores from the island and killed the enemies until all that remained was a single rewards chest. Remembering what had happened last time though, this time I was cautious. I knew opening the chest was going to release some unknown horror, and I needed to be ready, so I slowly approached, opened the chest and turned to run, but instantly the temperature dropped. It was a huge golem made from ice, and I felt my speed slow and my senses dull, but I knew I had to turn in a fight. My first idea was to try to gain distance so that he may not be able to freeze me, but the ranged attack was devastating. I climbed a mountain to try to avoid the boulder throws, and that worked for a while, dipping in and out of cover, but I knew I would lose health quicker than the golem, and I needed to actually go and get some grocery shopping done, so taking 3 hours to take this guy down was not an option. And so I charged. I went in with an axe and a dream, and I swung so fast the entire 1960s would have been proud of me. It was a close fight. We traded blow for blow until finally the beast was slain. 2 islands down and 2 monsters killed. I opened the rewards chest and I took my spoils. I'll be honest with you though, I have no idea what any of this stuff is yet, so I'm just putting it in a chest for safekeeping. This time though, I did get a rune pouch, and as I opened it, I was bestowed with a weapon rune. But again, no idea how to use it, so it went in the chest with the other stuff, and on we sailed. The third island was similar to the last two, but having taken down 2 huge bosses single-handedly with nothing but a wish and a prayer and some gel in my hair, I was confident. I dived onto the island and slaughtered all the enemies in record time, and after collecting all the ores, the forbidden chest greeted me once more. This one though, was so much worse than the rest. Suddenly I was face to face with none other than the Lich King, the World of Warcraft absolute unit. This was going to be like nothing I had faced yet. I initially considered my cover strategy, chipping away at the king's health, but it soon became apparent to me that his attacks could penetrate blocks as well as my own body, so that strategy went out the window. I tried getting in close, but the damage the king could do was unrivaled. I couldn't think of any way to beat this guy. Then I realized, I'm never going to beat him in hand-to-hand combat. The king is so much stronger, so I have to fight smarter. The king had 1 life while I had 3, so in theory, I had triple the health, right? I think dying to refill your health is a viable war strategy. I'm sure it was Sun Tzu who wrote The Art of War, and in chapter 3, I think, or something like that, it says, if your enemy has more health than you, then if you die, you can respawn and you then get all full health and you will have advantage, right? It was something like that anyway. And so I employed the tactics of the great Chinese war master, and thus the battle became even. We battled long into the night until the king started to get the upper hand, causing me to retreat onto the boat. Can I just stop here now? By the way, this guy is huge, right? He's massive, he's about 8 feet. What is he doing? He's walking around with his cannon. Man, help me. This guy, do something. Sorry, back to the script. Using his teleportation abilities meant that there was nowhere I could hide to regroup from the king. This foe seemed unbeatable. It was at this moment, when I felt like all was hopeless, that I discovered melon strat. Basically, if you get the king stuck behind these 2 melons in particular, he can't teleport and you can just kill him. And so, the king is dead. Long live the king. I returned to the island and retrieved my rewards. My battle with the king had earned me a weapon loot box, which upon opening bestowed me a brand new axe, which I'll be able to use going forward. This, my friends, was the start of a great adventure. You can join me and try this for yourself on the NeoNetwork Skyblock server, open to both Java and Bedrock players, the links for which will all be down in the description below. The current season is wrapping up now, so it's a great time to join and learn the basics before we start fresh very soon. Also, I've got some giveaways coming very soon to the channel, some free ranks, gift card codes for the store, so don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.